Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to my car. If you've not seen it before, it's a MINI Clubman JCW Works in Rebel Green with red roof and mirror caps. I've previously done a spec video on the car showing you around it, why I chose certain bits of it, but today's video is going to be more of a driver focused video. We'll go for a drive around town and then we'll get on some country roads and show you what it's all about. So guys, you join me inside the car now. We're just going to go for a little walk, drive around town, show you what it's like to live with, just if you pool into the shops, that kind of thing. I do spend most of my time just around town, to be honest. I've done a couple of motorway runs down to London, that kind of thing, but nothing too extensive. It's all just sort of short runs. Around town I usually use the mid driving mode. The car's got 3 different modes: green, mid and sport. We'll leave sport for later, but for the time being we'll just leave it in mid. Around town I normally get sort of 26-27 miles to the gallon, which isn't massive, but you're remembering this is a 300 brake horsepower car. It's not going to be extensive when it comes to range. On those long runs I have got sort of 45ish, which for a 2 litre petrol car it is pretty good on them long runs. So around town it is quite smooth. The adaptive suspension that I got on the car was a free option. It's not too firm. As well, I got the leather seats, so they do cushion you quite well compared to the JCW Works seats, which do come on the car as standard. I had them in my previous F56 JCW Works, and they are quite firm. Mostly, it's pretty comfy and pretty smooth. The gearbox, there's pretty quick changes. There's no hesitation around pulling out of junctions or anything. It is all pretty good. Stop start kicked in there. It's a function I normally turn off, but I've just left it on for now. If you've currently got a Mini, for example, and you're thinking the Clubman's a bit of a big step up size wise, you couldn't be more wrong, to be honest. The car is, I think it's about 20 centimetres wide or something like that. It still feels just like a hatch, to be honest. If you're a bit worried about parking with it being a bit longer, it does have the automatic parking feature, which I've not used, but I've heard is pretty good, to be honest. It's got a reversing camera as well, and sensors all around. They're standard on the JCW Works models of the Clubman. They might be standard on Minis now, as you'll see, just that nice 911 Tiger GTS just there. So around town then, it's not a big car to manoeuvre. Steering's pretty light when you're in mid mode. It does stiffen up and go a lot heavier in sport, as well as a few other features. But once we get out onto the open roads, we'll put it into sport and have a bit of fun. So join me just as we come out of town then. I've just flipped the car in sport mode, as you may be able to hear. It does just open up a little valve in the exhaust that does let you know that you're in sport mode. And also with having the adaptive suspension, it stiffens up the ride just a little bit. But again, it's not too extreme. You can go into the settings and just have the sport mode where it alters your throttle response and your steering. Suspension can stay in the soft setting. However, you're in sport mode, you want to have a bit of fun, don't you? It does go around corners so flat. I mean, Minis are characteristically all about the go-kart feel, which this car, although it's a lot bigger than a hatch, it doesn't feel any different, to be honest. As well as having the power, it's got what's it got, around just over 76. I think it's got 75, 76 more horsepower than a standard hatch, which it feels so much quicker. I've just started to use the paddles on the gearbox just as we start to drop down here. It's a really good feature. The car is an 8-speed auto with the paddles, and you can also operate it with the gear lever. You can knock it over into sport. Oh, it's a bit firm on these speed bumps, to be honest. You can knock the gearbox over into sport, where you can operate it manually, or you can put it back to auto, and the auto box in sport just revs a lot higher. Whilst we're going through these speed bumps, I'll just turn it off. You may be wondering what the 0 to 60 time in the car is. It's 4.9 seconds, which is up there with your Golf R, your S3s, that kind of bracket. So if you're normally into your Audis or your Volkswagen Group cars, I'd definitely consider changing. I'm not paid to say that or anything like that, but people think of Minis as kind of hairdresser cars, kind of cars for your mum or your grandma, that kind of thing, but honestly, you do not realise what they are. I think once you've driven one, you can get a bit addicted. I mean, I've had 4 now, and I've had what did I have in between? I had a Seat Lane in between the second and the third, and it just didn't feel anywhere near as fun, to be honest. Not that you need it, but the car is limited to a top speed of 155 miles per hour. That's standard on all sort of BMW Minis across the range. They do just electronically limit it at 155, which, you know, that speed's useful if you're on a German autobahn, but when you're plodding around trying to get some content in sport mode, plodding around, going over speed bumps, it's pretty useless having a top speed of 155, especially in the UK anyway. So the road's just opened up. I'll put the gearbox into sport, as you'll be able to hear. The gear changes on this thing are super quick, especially in this sport gearbox. You literally just bang, bang. The car's got Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tyres on it from factory, which is probably the best road tyre at the minute. They've just brought out a PS5, which I've obviously not tried yet. But when my front two need replacing, I'll be sticking with the PS4s because they give you such good grip in all conditions, really. Especially with the car's all 4-wheel drive system. It does just grip around corners and then as well off the line. Obviously, I've said it does 0 to 60 in 4.9. It is classed as the fastest production Mini ever. They did bring out the GP with the same sort of power output. However, that is only 2-wheel drive, so it doesn't offer the same sort of grip, especially on acceleration. I've seen a few reviewers comment. I've not driven one myself, but I've seen a few reviewers comment that it's just hard to put the power down, really. I mean, round a track, it will be absolutely stupid, but I think this is a car to go for if you're wanting sort of practicality, speed, and just all round comfort, especially if you can get a car with adaptive suspension. On motorways, small little journeys, it is so comfy, so comfy. But then like this, you can get onto the open road and put your foot down. It just obliterates anything. You don't really need any more power, to be honest. I'd say around the 300 mark. It is absolutely perfect for your roads like this. You can just have as much fun as you can without killing yourself. Obviously, having this much power, you do need some good stopping power as well. The brakes on this thing are pretty special. I mean, I don't know exact figures, but they are rather large. The discs, I dread the time, if the time comes, that I'll have to replace discs. With them being Brembos, I don't think that was cheap. I'll just put the car back into mid-mode now, just as we go through these tight bends, and immediately you just feel how soft the suspension goes back to. This is quite a bumpy, potholey road, as you may be able to hear, but it is super comfy. And again, these are really tight roads. You don't feel like you're in a big car at all. It's still a Mini at the end of the day, and does not feel any different to a hatch. If you are considering the step up from a hatch, then I'd definitely go for it. If you've got any more questions, any queries, if you're thinking about getting one, maybe if you're moving over from sort of the VW kind of group of cars, or Mercedes, that kind of thing, your A35s, if you're thinking of moving across to something a bit different, and I say different because you never really see any on the road. I probably see one a month, something like that. Obviously there's a few guys in the Mini community on Instagram and Facebook with them, but you never really see that many on the road. It is a bit different, and I'd definitely consider it for your next car. Go out and test drive one, see what you think, because they are good fun. But for now, I'll leave this video here. Get in the comments if you've got any questions, as I've said. So yeah, if you could like, subscribe, that'd be amazing. It's really motivating to see when you guys are getting involved. But for now, I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Cheerio.